Welcome, everyone, to Enlightened Masculinity Podcast. This is Secrets of Podcasting. I don't often talk about podcasting. Recently, I did some research on the podcast apps, not looking at blogs or watching other people's YouTube videos about shit. I went in there because I have hundreds and hundreds of episodes, probably 500 or 600 episodes across 4 different shows on Apple and Spotify and every other podcast app that you go to, you'll find my shows there. But Apple and Spotify are the big two. And so I titled this episode like Spotify versus Apple. I'll talk about a couple of differences that I've noticed, big differences that make a difference. And let's see. First I'll talk about making a good podcast. So I went and I was searching for my episodes. I was looking at the statistics in the background because you pay to post your podcast. You got to pay for someone to search. It's not like YouTube. You just upload it for free. Or Facebook or Instagram, you pay for a hosting service to host your audio files or whatever and distribute them. And then you got to do a lot of behind the scenes, like clicking and typing and figuring out certain codes and whatever to pass along your podcast to the different directories: Apple, Spotify, Podbeam, iHeartRadio, Audible, blah, 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 blah. And I can figure most of that out, and I used to, but as of about 2 or 3 years ago, I had apprentices do all that stuff. And so they do. I still go in and do things every now and then because they don't measure up most of the time, but they help save me time or whatever. And so I utilize them. And Daniel Roque, upgrading you to a speaker so that I can invite your audience here. So part of podcasting is going live when it's happening on many different mediums, because I like having I just moved you back to the audience, Daniel. My bad. My busy. So I'm streaming on multiple. So if I make Daniel here a moderator, then whoever's following Daniel will see that he's going live. And so that's how more people can come on Clubhouse. As of today, I have a Telegram group for Enlightened Masculinity. So instead of sharing my Enlightened Masculinity link across 5 different groups and spamming them every fucking Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, just like everybody else is doing to them, I'll just have a group for the people that are interested in Enlightened Masculinity. And I won't spam them with yoga and Brotherhood of the Beast and other things. I'll only message them related to podcasts. Like, here's some recordings that just got uploaded. Here's the link to join today. No podcast today, everybody. Blah, blah, blah. So it's just Enlightened Masculinity Telegram group. Brilliant. So I formed that community. I had an Enlightened Masculinity Facebook group. It got deleted when they started censoring me. They deleted my group. Had a bunch of people on it. That's what I used it for, communicating when the show's happening or not. They fucking deleted it. So, a lot of the struggle has been overcoming censorship, really. So that's where I've discovered certain things softer. Then, so specifically Apple versus Spotify. So I go in there and I'm searching and I start listening to other people's podcasts, and I notice the first 30 seconds, 20 seconds, the first 15 seconds of the show, very important. God damn it, do I not want to listen to a boring ass first 15 seconds. And if the title and description's really good, maybe I'll skip ahead because I assume there's good parts. But that first intro and how basic and regular it is when they're like, and go to our website and check it and join our newsletter and do that. And we have an event coming, and putting all the promo in the beginning. Like, dude, just get right to it. I'd rather you just sprinkle it in throughout organically, not force it at the front or at the back or anywhere. Never force it. Second thing I noticed is it's got to keep pace. It can't start off slow. It can't start off fast and then get slow. It can't ever really get slow except for those few poignant pauses. That's where it's okay to get slow a little bit sometimes, but not slow the pace of the show unless it's going to go into that melancholy spirit or whatever you're talking about. But really be authentic and high energy. I can be high energy in a melancholy spirit. There's an intensity. Like right now, I just smoked the marijuana pen. I'm high. I can be high without this pen. I'm high after the yoga. I'm high after exercise. I'm high after a great lecture. I'm high after a cold shower. I'm high after 9 hours of sleeping. Like, there's a lot of, I'm high after certain foods and drink and whatever, like catching the vibe. And sometimes it's just what's going on in your attitude, but I don't mean this particular episode to be about mindset or whatever, but there is a high energy vibe that you can communicate from. You have communicated from. if you look in your experience, and you will again communicate from. Make your podcast that. Make your lecture that. Make your recording that, so people get the best of you. Like I tell my women, we should be being at our best when we meet up and hang out. Let's not stay over each other's house at night so we see each other in the morning when we're the ugliest, smelliest, burpiest, groggiest, slurriest self. No, let's do it in the middle of the day when we're peaking, and take care of our business throughout the day, and so on. So let your podcast and lecture be that also. It be the best that you communicate that day. After you make your cold calls for the day, do your podcast so that your voice is all warmed up, or just do some voice warm-up training or some singing or whatever. Peak for that. And in this lifestyle, what I do with Arash and IMC Nation, we're peaking all the time. We're like Arnold Schwarzenegger in that movie. I'm always calming. I'm calming all the time. I'm trying to peak 24/7. I want to peak while I'm sleeping. So I want to wake up and be at my best. But truth be told, we still go through waves and oscillate through the day. And, after a while, 5 p.m. every day is like, man, I'm ready to broadcast. I'm ready to, because I've patterned that in my system. So I can peak, perform, and we do that with all the habits of our day, or non-habits. If we make a habit of chaos, then we're never peaking at the right time for shit, Okay, other secrets. I'll get to the Apple versus Spotify for sure. What I discovered was that Apple, I'll just get to it right now, is very interesting. Apple, you can search. Okay, Spotify and Apple, they look pretty similar in the podcast app. There's a magnifying glass. You go tap it. That's the search bar. You type in there your exact podcast name. Let's say your name of your podcast. This is an actual example. My number one viewed podcast on this show, Enlightened Masculinity, it's called Learn Healing Techniques from the Sacred Realms, Part 1 and Part 2. There's a Part 1 and there's the same first title. Learn Healing Techniques from the Sacred. It was not my episode. It was when my old co-host and I, one of the 3 or 4 episodes I'd missed, and he continued with our guest, who is a shaman named James Hyman. So it was Akash and James Hyman, not me, but it's on my show, and it's my most viewed episode. And Learn Healing Techniques from the Sacred Realms. When you type that exact wording in, imagine how many episodes there are. I know there's a lot of podcasts, and there's a lot of episodes, but how many do you think are really called Learn Healing Techniques from the Sacred Realms, Part 1? Type that exact name in Apple Podcasts, my show doesn't show up. In 20 or 25 episode showing, because it doesn't give you the option to show more. It only shows you like 20 or 25. I haven't counted, but about 20 or 25 episode results. And my exact title, it doesn't show up. And the titles that do show up aren't even close. They deviate a lot. So type that into Spotify, though. Here's the difference. Type in Learn Healing Techniques from the Sacred, and my show already shows up. Spotify is finding search results from titles. Apple Podcast is not. And here's how I know why. I tested that with many different episode names. Looking at my top episodes, that's what I was researching, is my top episodes. I wanted to see how they ranked in things. And I found really interesting things. I found some related podcasts. I listened and I learned about how not to do things because they all suck. And yet some of them have so many episodes and have been doing it for so long, they get a lot of reviews. And I see differences in how they do descriptions. Like people with experience that have thousands of followers, they're doing things different because they're making a living off of it. So you just see they take it more serious and whatever. But I'm not going to talk about the description like that right now. I will say, though, that one of my top episodes is called Mystery Method. And anybody who knows what we do here with Enlightened Masculinity has heard of Mystery Method. But even if you don't, even if you're just finding this podcast episode because you searched out podcasting secrets, Spotify versus Apple, if you searched for that, you're going to find this episode because I'm going to thoroughly put those words in the description. If you do that, your episode will show on Apple Podcasts because Apple is searching your descriptions for the keywords, not the title. It's not giving the results on the title. I tested it for many episodes. Many episodes, I typed the exact title of an obscure, weird title that there's definitely not another episode out there about it. And even if there was, I would still show up in the first 2 or 3 results. I didn't show up in the first 20 results, 25 results, then it's not showing results for descriptions. When I checked those top episodes of mine that had the long titles and whatever, I looked in their descriptions, shit descriptions. They were missing a description. All of them were missing. All it said was join our show, and then the Zoom link, the Genius link to join our show. And then it had some other links. It had links. It didn't have a description at all. That's why it's not showing up on search results. How many views have I missed out on by not having a description? But how many views will I gain now that by going back and doing that? It takes time. Am I going to do it? My apprentice is going to do it. I'm probably going to do it, because if you want it done right, you do it yourself. Also, after I take care of business for 20 or 30, I can probably 20 or 30 episodes, I can probably make a little template for how I want him to do it. Anyway, that's the big discovery. Spotify is apparently looking at both title and description, but the title has much more influence. The title on Apple has no influence at all. I noticed some other things that I'll be testing out, like I'm going to all capitalize my titles. It stands out when I look at how small the print is and everything. It really makes your episode pop. But I'm going to test it because it could also be annoying looking anyway. But I don't want to be my own hater. I don't want to hate on my own creativity because it's better than that was telepathy right there, by the way. There's a little bit of telepathy. Probably communicate. We mistake it for telepathy, but there's so much subtleties in body language, even in the tactile transmission of, electricity and energy and whatever, that we may not be conscious of all those layers of communication, but we do perceive them nonetheless. And so we come to some conclusion that telepathically we just mind read each other, but really we subtly expressed that sentence and the other person subtly picked up that sentence. And that's not telepathy. That's just communication. But guess what? Telepathy is communication. People, when they think telepathy, this is an Arash Dibazar teaching, they think silent telepathy. But communication is telepathy. But when they think telepathy, they're thinking, oh, just don't make a noise and close your eyes and transmit the idea. That's telepathy too. But we're doing telepathy. My telepathy is better because I don't have to guess. We just communicate and we get it right, based on skill of communication and listening, right? So that's what this podcast is largely about. I mean, it's male-female relations. That's why it's enlightened masculinity, not just enlightened. That'd be a great podcast show. Just call it Enlightened. But that's not what the show is. It's enlightened masculinity. But this episode is about, and we'll keep it on topic, Apple versus Spotify. So go and click the link and follow the show. Leave us a review, join our newsletter. That's what's in the description for the show. And I'll open it up to any questions. We got a sizable live audience here on Zoom. If you join the newsletter, you'll get shout outs with recordings and also the Zoom link. So you can always join these live. I discovered some things about posting these Zoom recordings on YouTube also. I thought that they were not good for YouTube because the quality wasn't as good. The audio is pretty good. I got a good microphone. I could get a better one. I still might. But the video is not as clear and sharp as it would be on just my iPhone, just recording the video. And the audio would probably still even be better on the iPhone, possibly. And that type of recording would do better on YouTube than a Zoom recording. However, my top episodes on one of my YouTube channels is a Zoom recording. And the second most popular and the third most popular. And when I looked at it, it was like a lot of the most popular ones were Zoom recordings. And it might be because they've been posted for so long. It might be because one or two of them tag Brian Casella or Arash Dibazar. And so those names bring search results. But the top one didn't. And many of them didn't. The topic was good. Like the top one is shit tests. Shit tests. People search for that in relationships. That's a term. They search for shit tests. So again, the title and the thumbnail is extremely important in YouTube. You want that click through. You want that click through. And then it's the same thing. First 30 seconds, first 20 seconds. So and then keep the pace throughout. Like right now, I'm wanting to end the episode because the pacing is lowering. Nobody's raised their hand on Zoom, I don't think. Tony Kosmiski posted the Genius link there, so you can click it and go follow the show, leave us a review. I don't see any comments from Instagram, on YouTube, people watching, but no comments. So that's pretty much the differences. So some of the innovations, link in the description, descriptive description, using keywords. The title is related to those words so that it's a congruent, the search results show up more accurately. For the apps that favor the title, you'll get those. You don't want the title to be too different from the description. And all caps for the title, that stands out. You know, the liveliness and the pace of the show. The thumbnail. Okay, the thumbnail. I am going to start using thumbnails with me and women, because I see how for my niche being enlightened masculinity, so dating, men's dating advice, pickup, mystery method, anything enlightened masculinity related. This is good for Master myself and MJ and Tony and as apprentices, but also as you guys stream. Okay, here's one more key point just to kind of do as a multi-threading, because I feel like Raul Cervantes, he wanted to hear about multi-threading. I don't know why, that's telepathy, but I feel like he needs to hear about multi-threading. So I cut the last thread, I'll enter this thread. A lot of people don't post their podcasts. Some of them stream, and it's very interesting. I think there's a lot of motivations for podcasting outside of the motivations that I had. I don't know what everybody's motivations are. Do they really want to get rich and famous off podcasting? Are they trying to stir up business? Some people probably trying to even get a girl. They're trying to get a girl through podcasting. I don't know. I was doing it as a congruence to the business and a part of the lifestyle, that communicating your ideas and you know, the way that I do business through social media, keeping in touch with my audience, it's just very integrated. It's very synergistic with these other things that I do. And I enjoy it. I enjoy talking about the things and whatever. I mean, I get a foot massage while I'm doing a podcast. It's fucking great. So I don't know how much that's a motivator for other people podcasting. Like, I literally am studying the art of communication, of tonality, of language, descriptive language. That's why I go to a live audience. So it's not just me talking into a fucking a wall or whatever. So that's multi-threading. So in that vein, the people in our school of philosophy, a lot of them that are doing live streaming are doing it for the sake of practice, of communication, of the sake of following the leaders and how they did it, and getting comfortable behind a camera and practicing all the things that you could do with like acting or face or whatever behind a camera, hearing yourself, getting awareness of yourself so you can, you know, modify, calibrate your communication and make it better and better. So they're doing all that and they're streaming, but they're not posting their episodes anywhere. So it goes maybe on IGTV, but how many IGTVs do you find in the search results on IG? Do you even search for anything on IG? Like, yeah, because I don't think that tags work on IG TVs. I still tag, but I don't think that they show up. When I've went and searched out my own tags, I didn't see the IGTVs. See, that's how you do that. So where are you posting? Are you posting it on, it goes to Facebook Live? Like, where are you posting it? YouTube? I haven't had my success with the YouTube Zoom posting versus the audio podcast posting of the same. Like, this Zoom stream has a video and an audio component. I just post the audios as the podcast, or Tony does. And the videos would just be posted on YouTube. It would be interesting to compare the stats and the view count of the YouTube versus the same episodes on audio. I should do that and get back with you. I did not see the success that I expected with the YouTube videos, and I stopped doing them. But now that I'm looking at that, which is, it's taken this whole monologue to get to this place in my mind where I'm now looking at, well, wait, what if I compared the stats? I should compare those stats. Okay, so I will. So there'll be a part 2 to podcasting secrets. Audio versus video. This one was Apple versus Spotify. And I can tell you for the thumbnail. So Raul, Oracle, multi-threading, back to the thread of the thumbnail. Man, all of these men's dating podcasts, none of them have any pictures with girls. Some of them have that cheesy sales tactic of having a picture of a girl. Whose girl is that? Did you just grab that off the internet? Is that like you just went on Instagram and screenshot some chick's picture and made that your because she was attractive? Like, where's the picture of the guy with the girl? Okay. Now I've missed all these millionaire parties where I had tons of girls I could have taken tons of pictures with, but more will come. There'll be another party coming up. And how I organize these, it's about the font being popping. The picture is made smaller on the phone in the app when you're searching episodes. Like, I want to click that episode. Make the title all capitalized. Make the thumbnail a guy with a girl. Make the girl attractive. Make the guy look dapper. Is there any words on the picture? The image should pop. You should be able to see it like a light color, most likely. But we'll see, just a good image that's grabbing. That would stand out. Anybody searching for men's dating advice that comes across my podcast, scrolling, man, if the thumbnail grabs your attention, the title is all capitalized. Okay, you see the first 40 or 60 characters of the description before you click it. You can see a little bit of the first. Is the description good? Maybe I should all capitalize that too. I'm thinking about it, just so you see it better. But the lack of a description, it kills you. Have the good description. And then they click it and they play it. And the first 15, 20 seconds, 30 seconds, and then you got to keep that pace. So you got to set the pace early for a winning race, and then you got to run a marathon. This is a 20, 30-minute episode. So whatever, how many, 6K, 5K, 10K or something. So those are the podcasting secrets, and you'll see that coming up. All of those modifications. It'll take some time. We have 213 episodes on this show. There is one other thing I'm going to do. God damn, I keep going. There, now this show is explicit, motherfuckers. Now the show is explicit, motherfuckers. Who hasn't followed my show? Who hasn't left a review? Go and follow it. Click and add yourself to our newsletter. Tony posted the Genius link right there if you haven't done it. So here's the last thing I'll say. And then if you have any questions, raise your hand on Zoom. Prepare yourself. Otherwise, I'm just going to end it abruptly at the end so that it's a succinct episode. So the last thing I'll say is recycling episodes from other podcasts. It costs money to keep the shows hosting on other. So if I have 3 other channels, the minimum is $5 each show a month. So it's $15 a month. So I could save a bunch of money over the next 10 years. Am I going to keep those there forever, really? Should I go in there and update all of their descriptions and thumbnails so that they continue to accrue views and followers, but I'm not continuing to contribute to that show? I chose the one show that I went with because it had more views. It had like 40% of the views total of all of my podcast views. And then the other shows were increased less and less, 30%, 20%, 10%, whatever it added up to. I don't know. And so the show Enlightened Masculinity had the most and consistently. And I did a bunch of stats, looked at a bunch of stuff. I have a PhD in engineering, master's degree in engineering, looked at shit. And so I chose Enlightened Masculinity, but I also chose to keep those other shows going because they had some stellar episodes that got a lot of views. I can no longer see those statistics until I upgrade the membership so I can see the episode stats. But it's about that time because I'm getting tired of those just being there and I want to really hone in my focus. So I want to take the top 8 or 10 episodes from each of those shows. Each of those shows have about 100 episodes on them. The top episodes, last I looked, had hundreds of views. Doing pretty good for a show that didn't have hundreds of followers. Imagine if you only have like 5 reviews on your show, but your top episode had 200, 300 views. What, did somebody watch it 200 times? No, that's hundreds of people came and saw the episode. And that was a while ago, so I'll bet they have many more views now. So I'll upgrade the statistics, go grab the top 8 or 10 episodes, download, make sure I have that audio file, because once I stop paying to host that show, it deletes. The episodes delete after 6 months. So I can redirect. I can write a description and leave a description in all of those episodes to redirect them to Enlightened Masculinity. In fact, I should have done that already. And I still might leave them there for a little while, but eventually I'll delete them. I'll recycle the top episodes on enlightened masculinity. I'll re-record a new intro on my microphone, 20, 30 seconds. Hey, everybody, what you're about to hear is an episode from Behavior Code Podcast, but it was the top episode over there. Unfortunately, you would have never found it because you're following this show and you might not have searched for that title. So I'm reintroducing it on this show. So if you hear in the show me refer to Behavior Code, that's why. But this is still enlightened masculinity. And we continue to upload new episodes, current episodes. So make sure you click the link and join. And without further ado, here's Behavior Code. Here's Science of Peace. Here's Science of Spiritual Growth. Those are the other 3 shows. So just recycle those 8 or 10 episodes. They were top performing. So I would like to see if they perform top again. So again, that's research. It's mass research. Meanwhile, the show keeps growing. So I get more and more understanding of the psychology of my following. And keep producing consistently. You know, I want to make the show stand out. When people get Spotify or Apple podcast notifications on their phone, the all capitalized title helps it stand out because it's a small notification. You know, a thumbnail, Apple does not take episode thumbnails, but Spotify does. So when you find the episode on Spotify, if you had a unique thumbnail for that episode, it shows that. Whereas Apple, it just shows the thumbnail for the whole show, the show thumbnail. A little less customized. Okay. So I think that's just about does it. There will be future research. There's always ongoing research, you know, in the pursuit of success. I do not depend on my podcast being a hit to be a success in life. I make like no money from my podcast. Of some newsletter people, and if I looked, maybe one of them have bought something, you know, and it'll continue to grow. We'll run ads and blah, 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 and make it more and more successful. But that is not the point for what we do. If you're interested in what we do, then you should definitely join the newsletter. If you're just interested in how I communicate on the podcast, then follow the podcast. There's no hands up. There's no questions raised, no comments. A lot of people watching the show, but nothing going on live. So I'll end it here. It's almost 6 p.m. and I'll see you on the next episode. Namaste.